And welcome back this week. We're going to continue with our topic of the last weeks, how things are just ramping themselves up and getting hotter.
Frog in a pot.
Frog in a pot.
Yep. So we are
Amanda Bressler.
I'm Nirvana Diaz.
Raymond Morales.
And I am unpaid intern.
Thank you.
So unpaid intern is having a little rough at the moment.
Yes.
Unpaid intern has just started college, and college has started to implement certain things. So unpaid intern?
So I go to a CUNY school, and CUNY is, for those of you who don't know, CUNY is, community
City
college.
University of
City,
New York.
City community college for New York. And at first they told us that since I am in a hybrid course, and hybrid means remote, so that means online Zoom classes as well as in-person classes. And for the in-person classes, at first they were saying you don't need to be vaccinated. You will have to go through weekly testing if you don't want to be vaccinated, and I was okay with that because that was my choice. Now they are, however, saying that you must be vaccinated by the 27th, and if you haven't gotten your first dose, the only vaccine that will be acceptable is Johnson & Johnson. And I really don't know how to feel about it because they're saying that if you don't agree with this, you will be dropped from your classes and you will have to pay back all the things that you owe CUNY at the moment. So that's what I'm going through, and it's a very stressful time because I thought the only thing I had to worry about this week was changing my major, but now I have to worry about perhaps being expelled from college because I don't want to...
revoking your bodily autonomy if
Exactly.
you want to have a good job at some point.
Exactly.
And so they're basically messing with my money and my future.
And we were talking about this is a problem that is happening in the lower income sphere. Like,
Yeah.
America doesn't really talk about classism, but classism is a really, really big thing in America.
Seriously.
I think it's a
It
big
really-
thing everywhere.
Unpaid
It really
intern
is,
is
though.
unpaid.
Right.
If she was actually paid well, maybe she can go to like a college that wouldn't allow this, or a
Correct.
college that would be
Or
strictly
she could
online.
or she could get a
or she
lawyer.
could start a
or
job.
she'd be able to get a lawyer. Like if it was like, for me, example, like I come from an upper middle class Jewish family. I grew up on Long Island. I went to college. I didn't finish.
Was it a private college?
I don't think so. It was a liberal arts college, so
Okay.
I would probably say no.
Okay.
It was a small college, but it was definitely like if my college wanted to try and pull something like this, which I honestly wouldn't be surprised if they did for whoever is in college right now at that school.
Right.
To like you have to be vaccinated in order to live on campus or to like have in-person classes
or engage in
or
remote
engage
classes.
But like here's the thing, like if you are in college and you either physically or medically cannot get the vaccine, it should not be forced upon you
Right.
to be forced to go to classes in person when you can easily take your classes online remotely. And yes, it's like you're basically paying for in-person learning for just being on your laptop.
But if you're
it's-
willing to
but
abscond from that,
if you're
then-
willing to abscond from that, then fine. But you should not be forced by your school that you're only obligated to for a certain amount of time
You pay them.
of your life. You pay them. They're not paying you to come to them. So if the fact that like if it was like me and this was my situation, my parents and definitely myself would be contacting lawyers and be lawyering up to the point where the college is like, oh, we it was just a suggestion. We didn't actually mean that.
It was just heavily recommended.
It was just heavily recommended that you get a vaccine.
Yeah.
Not that it means really
But
anything
the
to
problem
us.
also with this
we
stuff
still want your
is-
money.
The problem with this stuff is also the fact that when you engaged in this partnership with the college,
Right.
talk about
Contract
the,
of
It's
them.
contract, basically.
They said to you, "This is what we're going to do. You're going to have to deal with monthly or regular daily testing."
Fine.
And you went, "Okay, this is something I'm willing to submit to.
Right.
This is the
contract.
this is the verbal contract we got into, and we're accepting, and it's not a problem." But now they've changed the contract
Completely.
And you either adhere to this or you owe us money.
Right.
And this is completely something done to poverty classes.
Yes,
Exactly.
because I found out they're not doing it in private colleges.
Because they're afraid of backlash.
Yes, they are
Exactly.
not doing this to people. They're not forcing you to get a vaccine. If they have in-person hybrid courses, you can opt out And you could say, I just want to be in the remote classes, and they will schedule you and give you the right classes and give you the teachers that also don't want to go in because they also don't want to be subjected to get tested.
And let's
to
be
get
honest,
vaccinated.
Teachers are more likely
as
to
we
get sick
look
than
at
anybody.
Yeah,
as we look at
exactly.
the data rolling in, it's not the students who are really at the highest risk. It's the teachers,
teachers.
of these students.
Correct.
The people who we've basically entrusted with the education of our children are now expendable on some level. Why can't they opt out? Why can't they say, if you want to attend my classes, the vaccine isn't necessary. I'm only doing remote classes, etc.
I mean, these are also coming from teachers who openly drink on camera.
Well, yeah. I mean, they're still, college teachers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I'm saying in general, if this is the understanding we arrived upon,
Right. This was the
when
verbal
I enrolled
agreement
in your
with-
school,
when I enrolled.
on
Yes.
what grounds do you now revoke that understanding?
right.
That previously understood situation is now changed. How am I now on the hook to owe you money
Right.
when you've revoked the terms of the deal?
The agreement.
Should
This
I
is a
not-
verbal contract.
Yes.
Yeah.
Should I not now be allowed to just renege on my side of it?
Right.
And
And this-
remove myself from your school
Without
with
any
no penalty.
No penalty then.
And then when I talk to the students in my class about it, or try to bring it up in any way, and just say like, hey, like, do you guys realize that they're like basically forcing us right now to either choose to
It's
like,
either choose our education
or choose my rights.
Rights.
Like that's kind of
not
scary. Really what I wanted when I went into college. I assumed that I was going to have to question those two things in my work.
Ethics, yes.
ethic. Yeah.
But I did not ever have to assume that I was going to have to live it.
And
right.
again, you get-
exactly.
There has
This
to be
makes
a
me
certain
glad I
amount
didn't
of
finish.
there has to be a certain amount of vaccination to be allowed into a high school.
Right.
It's agreed upon.
But it's
The
agreed
student-
upon.
But it's agreed upon.
And
You
the
didn't
student
suddenly
will go
throw
through
another
it.
vaccine
But
out
even
there.
they're not
And
even
they've met the
doing it.
requirements they're allowed to
But they're
attend.
not
You
even-
don't suddenly hit them in junior year saying, oh, by the way, you have to get vaccinated against HPV.
right.
And if you don't, you can't
But
come
the
to
thing
school.
that's also kind of bugging me out is that currently my younger brother goes to my high school that I just graduated from in 2020. He goes to that high school, and they are not requiring their students to be vaccinated because my brother is not vaccinated, and he is still allowed in the school building. He can still attend in-person classes. They're not even offering hybrid courses. They are offering just straight in-person classes, and if we have to do online, we have to do online, but we're going to try this out. And they're not forcing any mandates. They are not requiring any of that from you. But now CUNY schools are saying, well, hey,
I
you
wonder
kind
why.
of missed the deadline. Now all you're subjected
Probably
to
getting
is
pressure from
Johnson
government.
and Johnson.
in state.
The one vaccine that everybody can agree is
It's-
not the best vaccine.
it's probably-
they want
yeah.
you to now get because you've missed other opportunities to get vaccine.
And-
Isn't that saying, hey, wait, you said we'd be able to do weekly testing, and now you're saying something completely different.
Different.
Obviously, I was
You
not
altered the
prepared
terms
for
of the
this.
agreement.
Obviously, I did not want to agree to this. They already put out a poll. They didn't like the results of the poll, so now they're just forcing it on people.
Right.
A poll to see if folks were willing to take
Yes,
the vax.
they sent out an email, CUNY did, to all CUNY students with a poll saying, I will be vaccinated by this date, or I will choose not to get vaccinated by this date. I clicked, I will choose not to get vaccinated by this date because I will not be forced to get something injected into my body that I don't want.
But you also
Exactly.
have medical issues.
But I also have medical issues. That's my thing too. It's like I have a lot of different things
If
that
you
still
know that you don't have
Yeah.
underlying medical
I-
issues.
I even have
And
medical issues
beyond-
that are still not even solved. Like the doctors still don't know what exactly it is. So why should I get something
It's
that's
dangerous.
gonna up and make my immune system
Worse.
just worse?
It's
And
true.
be that much more of an experiment to see what's wrong with you.
Right.
But this is all irrelevant because our country allows for a religious kind of
Exemption.
Exemption.
Or medical.
Or medical,
medical.
exemption. But
bottom
now there's
line, the
but now they
religious
seem to be
exemption-
taking it back.
Yes, they're absolutely cutting it back because now they're requiring, we're hearing anecdotally at least, that you have to, for instance, in the Christian faith, have gone through all your sacraments when the only thing on the records, on the law, according to the law, is that you have a strongly held religious belief. There's no necessary corroboration from a religious leader. There's no necessary corroboration from a religious practice, in effect. It's you
They're not
personally.
asking you to.
They're not asking
Yeah.
for. They're
priest
not
or the
asking.
rabbi to
they're
sign
not-
off that
They're
you're
not
going
asking
to.
for your
I was
home
gonna
videos
say-
of your
Yeah.
communion
literally
and
was
your
gonna say-
confirmation. They're
literally.
not asking for that.
The law on the books as stands is I personally have a strongly held religious belief, whether I'm Jewish and disagree with a rabbi, or I'm Catholic and I disagree with a priest,
Or
I'm
whatever.
Protestant and I disagree with my bishop or pastor, what have you. It doesn't matter. It's my personally deeply held religious belief, and that's being ignored.
Right.
In
It
a
is,
country of the
yeah.
free,
Exactly.
The fight that I
Good.
have to put up right now
Allegedly.
is
Allegedly.
honestly for
Sadly.
me,
Yeah.
this is the first fight in my life that I really have to step back and go, do you not understand what we're fighting for?
Right.
Because you're making me a 21-year-old fight for my right to go to college.
Yeah.
You're making me fight for my right for my future, and it's like, do you not understand that that's wrong?
And that's
Right.
my-
Do you
that's-
not understand that this isn't okay? It's also, you've proved to me before, literally every semester before this one, and starting in 2020, you've proved I could graduate online.
Yeah.
I can work online.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can get all of the necessary required credits online, but yet you are making it a thing for me to have to go in person so I can get vaxxed. For what? At first it was weekly testing. At first it was this. You've gone back on your word. You've proven to me that I can continue to do this online. So if I fight you about it, there's literally nothing that you can say. It works. I graduated online from high school. My sister graduated online from college.
Yeah.
This is
Like,
an
this is-
unnecessary
this is
hurdle.
a- this is
And
an
we're not the only
unnecessary
two. We're not the only two.
bump in
How
the
many
road.
people graduated this year in 2021?
Yeah.
All online.
Yeah.
There's no reason why I'm being forced now to get a vaccine that you yourselves in the government weren't going to force people to get,
Right.
and now are.
And now you are forcing
Because it's
everyone
not
to
about
do it.
also-
safety,
yeah.
it's about compliance.
Exactly.
The same
That's the
reason
big.
I'll
This is
say
America.
see
How
how
do we
many
know about
sh-
compliance
That's why they're
here?
doing it with CUNY, because they want to see how many sheeps they actually have, how many people are actually going to continue to follow the herd.
But this is classism again.
It
Because
is.
if it was a other kind of school, they'd be worried about the threat of lawyers.
And they'd have
Or how
kids
about
there
this?
who would be like, I
The
can
fact
pay that. Boom.
the fact
You wanna
that
drop me?
senatorial
Yeah.
and Congress representatives don't have to get vaxxed.
Right.
I get
And
that.
that's
The
insane.
police
No,
force
no.
is fighting it.
Personally, let me finish the idea.
Post offices fight. It
I
doesn't have
personally
to.
believe they're allowed to be exempt from that. We voted for them. And it would be a shame if a governmental body disallowed someone who was voted into office. I get that. Maybe members of Congress and Senate should be exempt. But their staff? You're extending it to their staff? I didn't vote for their staff.
Right.
If now the top Fortune 500 companies, if now colleges have to only choose amongst the vaccinated for their staff and for their populace, why now is Congress and the Senate exempt from choosing amongst the vaccinated populace to have their workers?
I don't
Yeah.
agree, because if this vaccine is as safe as people say it is and people feel like it is,
Then
then
how-
why
why are they
shouldn't
getting
these
sick?
leaders get vaccinated?
And why are people still getting sick?
Why aren't you
That's
leading by
true.
example?
Right.
Why aren't you, if you want me, like I said before, a 21-year-old CUNY college student
Ew.
to get vaccinated, why are you requiring me to do that, but you yourself
Don't have
aren't?
to.
And you're
Right.
allowing other people to fight you. You're
Yeah.
allowing the cops to say, I don't want to get vaccinated. The cops have never worn masks.
Yeah.
You
Not-
have,
true.
you have
Not-
been
It's
allowing...
Not
really,
for a
it's really
day.
kind of scary.
You know,
Not
you
a
have-
single day did I have
no,
I seen a cop
you
wear a
have
mask.
been allowing...
And remember hearing all those mask cop wait. No, they've been largely
Yes.
fine.
Yeah.
Like, that's what I'm saying. Like, you have allowed so much things to just, like, be okay and get swept under the rug when it comes to COVID. But now that you're coming at poor students,
Yeah.
we
Yeah.
must do it because we're poor students, and what else are we going to do with our lives? Man, this is so messed up. This is so not okay. And, like, most of the students in my class, like, not even most of them, 8% out of the whole freshman student body is vaccinated. 8%. I have 30 kids in my whole class, and 8% is vaccinated in the whole freshman student body.
And this is breaking
And
it
that
down
boggles my
along
mind.
class
And I'm in
lines.
house 6.
It is.
I'm
We're
in
in-
house 6.
What is,
Think
what's the
about that.
relevance
What
of
does that
that?
even mean?
There's so many. I'm in house 6.
What is
There's
that?
1 to 6 houses, and only 8% of those 1 to 6 houses are vaccinated.
So you have 6 houses worth of children.
6 houses
Kids.
worth.
How many children
Young
in each
adults.
house?
I'm not sure about that. All I know is in my house, I have, including all 3 of my cohorts, I have 30 students in total.
Okay.
Okay.
Wow. Okay.
Wow.
That's a lot
So
of time.
presumably
That's a lot of bodies.
that times 6.
That's a lot of bodies.
So if you want to do the math, do the math.
But
Yeah,
again,
times 6, yes.
in
Yeah.
our
Wow.
little hometown city
Shit.
of New York City, we've had recent altercations in Carmine's, a fairly,
Yes.
a fairly reputable restaurant
Yes.
that's now been protested by BLM, saying that these vax mandates disproportionately affect the non-white community.
It's true, and it does, and it really does. And in case in point, at my current job, I work at a art installation down in Chelsea, and last night I actually had to turn a young black gentleman away because he said that he was vaccinated, but I could not let him into the space without showing proof of vaccination.
The vaccine
and
card or
you
something
have to
such,
have
yeah.
you have to have proof of the vaccination card. You have to, like, literally, that's how it is at my establishment and most establishments in the city right now,
Yeah, certainly on Manhattan.
including Broadway theaters. You are not able to step foot inside any working establishment without having some form of vaccination, of proof of vaccination. You can't say that we will not trust you. The fact that we don't trust people just from their word alone, saying that yes, I have been vaccinated, I do not have my card on me, which at this point, it's the fact that we actually have to have these little pieces of paper
Right.
in our pockets at all times, or in our wallets. They don't fit in our wallets, but we have to have these little pieces of paper that say, yes, I have been vaccinated by the state.
You can engage in society.
I can engage in society. Without these, you cannot really interact
I'm not
or
gonna
be in
lie.
any
And truly-
form of social interaction with other human beings.
And true.
And it's honestly mind-boggling.
Truly, your vaccination status does not make you eligible or ineligible to pass on the virus to someone else.
True,
Yeah,
you
that's
can.
true.
Whether you're
Yes.
vaccinated or unvaccinated, you can pass on the same amount
Sadly,
of viral
yes.
load.
I'm fully vaccinated, and I just recently tested positive. I did my whole quarantining and everything like that. Still don't think I was actually had it because I never had any other symptoms. But the fact that
And the tests are faulty.
and the tests, exactly, the tests are faulty. So I easily could have had a false positive. But the fact that me, a vaccinated person, I have my double vaccination, can still test positive
Right.
and still have to call out from work, lose money from being affected by a single test is mind-boggling to me. And that is like the situation
And
that
again,
we live in.
With you, it was you lost a certain amount of days.
People
More
are
than a
losing-
week. You lost
more
more than a
than a
week's
week.
worth of pay.
Right.
Just to be on the safe side.
Right.
Unpaid intern over here
Could lose an
is
entire
potentially
4
losing
years.
her entire collegiate career.
Correct.
Plus the placement she would get for getting out when she got out.
Right.
Whatever the amount of years she was supposed to now complete college in, you've now potentially extended because she'll have to find other arrangements.
Right.
When she already made arrangements with her given school
yeah.
as to the level of she was comfortable with, and the school signed off on it.
Right.
I'm gonna go back to the idea of classism because that's what this feels like to me.
It
Yes.
really does.
Now
it really
listening
is.
to advertisements saying that they'll give you $100 if you take the shot.
And that isn't even
Who?
true anymore.
That's not even
Who
true
is-
anymore.
but
That's
free
not even
donut.
true.
But who is
Or
this
free
for?
donuts. Okay, thank you, Krispy Kreme.
But who is this for? You think a middle class person's gonna be like, oh, I need that $100. I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna go against my better judgment and do this. No, they're not. No, they're not.
Yeah.
This is for the poverty stricken. These are for those of us who have issues with income that are being now considering allowing this to do to yourself. And if you haven't at this point gotten the vaccine, there must be a reason why.
And
Right.
let's break this.
Let's
break
just be
this
honest
down
about that. If you at this point
along-
haven't gotten, there's a reason,
reason
why you haven't gotten it.
And let's break this down along
They're free.
financial lines.
Yes.
They're free vaccines.
Though they're free, let's break this
Though they're
down
free.
along financial lines. It seems the lower on the financial scale you are, the more vaccine hesitancy
That's
you
true.
have.
That is very true.
Because most people on the lower end of the financial spectrum feel so used and abused
That's true.
by the status quo and the powers that be.
And they're usually
That-
right. They are.
Yeah.
That this is simply one more aspect in which they're trying to get something over on us.
Right.
And I personally know 2 people who I'm very close with who got vaccinated. One of them, he is fine, he is okay, he's living his life, and he's thriving. That's great, beautiful, love to see it, love to hear it. But the other one, she has just developed this disease called CHS.
Oh,
And
yes.
CHS is related to cannabis use. And it varies throughout different people. Some people it either makes you just vomit, some people it makes you vomit, and you get dehydration with it. That's what happened to my friend.
Right. Yeah.
After the jab, she was a weed smoker most of her life for a long time use. I can't give you a date, but she was a long time weed smoker.
More than a
And
decade.
Nothing ever bad happened to her from just inhaling and smoking the weed and smoking the flower. She was fine. After she got both her doses of the jab, she developed CHS a week later.
And marijuana now makes her
And
nauseous.
marijuana now makes her to the point where she will faint. She will be dehydrated for 2 days. If she smokes too much, and she hasn't smoked at all, but if she says she wants to try, right? And she takes one pull, that one pull could put her in the hospital now.
Jesus Christ.
They're not sure if it came from the vaccine, but her doctors were very
Bullshit.
perplexed as to why she just developed
Out of
this
nowhere.
disease now out of nowhere. They were very, very, very perplexed.
Yeah.
And they were not sure why it happened, but it happened a week after she got her second dose.
Kind of makes me want to go to the gynecologist now.
And people
Yeah.
are out here talking about the
I got-
Pfizer boob job.
I got 2
Yes.
words
Oh
for
my
you.
God!
The
Oh.
Pfizer boob job.
Please,
Okay, so for all my
elaborate,
boomers,
elaborate.
who don't have TikTok out there, for all you boomers who do, search
This
up
girl is
So
on
Pfizer. For all
Pfizer.
my boomers, for all my people out there who don't have TikTok, I will tell you what's going on in the world. Alright, so this is what's happening. Women who get the Pfizer vaccine, I don't know if it's after both doses or just one dose, I'm not too sure about the specifics of it, but after they get their shot of Pfizer, they grow in cup size. Be that 1 or 2 sizes up, but they grow in cup size.
No justification.
No,
No
just no
justification.
justification.
And women are out here on TikTok saying, I'm about to go get this boob job with Pfizer. I hope it goes well. I hope it's not botched. I hope that they fix my uneven tits. You
Oh
know,
my
shit
God.
Like that.
What happens if you get Moderna?
Oh,
And then people in the
Because I got
comments.
Moderna.
no boob job
I
for
don't
you.
even know.
Listen,
Moderna's not winning.
I don't need a boob job. I'm already a double D as it is.
Yeah,
if
you're
if anything, I'm fine. If anything, I would like
Amanda's
a
looking
reduction.
for the Moderna boob reduction. Do y'all got that in stock now, or is that for the booster?
And
If
let's
you
be
get the Moderna, you get X-ray vision.
Oh, that'd be nice.
No, that's
That
if
would
you
be
get,
so
no, that's
nice.
if you get the Johnson and Johnson. 'Cause
The
that's where
X-ray
all
vision?
the
crazy
microchips
stuff
crazy
comes
shit
out,
comes
yeah.
from that.
Suddenly you've got the X cheat going.
And all of a sudden you
my
can get soap
brother
in
got
your
the
eyes
Johnson-
and
Well,
not be
no.
affected.
In the Johnson & Johnson, you could suddenly start activating other people's Bluetooth.
Yes.
Like with
Oh.
a thought.
You just open your mouth. It's like those toothbrushes that used to like make that.
Yeah.
Toot
Yeah.
toots.
Yes.
Yeah.
You open your mouth.
I can now turn your phone on
This
and start
girl is
playing.
on fire.
Yes.
Oh,
Start
that's
playing
really
like
funny.
your playlist.
And I've been sending all because my brother got the Johnson and Johnson vaccine, so I've been sending all these memes, all this shit to my brother.
Oh, your poor brother.
Oh, I know, and I'm like, I'm taking the piss out
But
on my brother,
seriously,
but
it's-
it's just too funny.
It's just seriously mind-boggling though. Like you have actual grown young adult women from the ages of like
18.
17 to like 24 talking about I'm gonna go get the Pfizer boob job, not realizing that that's your heart enlarging or that's
knows
Who
what
knows what the fuck that is? That's probably your
Why?
It's just so many
Your
different
lymph
things.
nodes, actually.
I was
You're
gonna
not-
say it's your lymph
That's what I'm saying.
nodes.
There's so many different things going on that you're not asking yourself, hey,
Why is this happening?
Instead of saying, I'm about to go get this Pfizer boob job right
Why am I-
quick,
why am I
aren't
suddenly
you saying,
puffy?
why do I get the Pfizer boob job?
Why are my boobs
And-
so
Why
swole?
are all of a
Anecdotally-
sudden my boobs growing in cup size?
And
And why is it
Anecdotally,
only
they're-
Pfizer? Why is it only Pfizer?
And
also
anecdotally, they're
it's
saying
only,
like miscarriages are higher if you've gotten vaxxed while
Ooh,
carrying.
Fuck me.
maybe it just pumps up your
Your
Estrogen.
your estrogen.
your endorphins, your estrogen, whatever it might be.
Your thyroids.
That's why your thyroids. That's why the boobs is getting big.
Just so many different
and that's
things.
why
It could be
the
so
babies
many,
is
it could be
getting
so
pumped
many
out.
different things.
Nobody's
and no one
questioning it.
and no one's really paying attention to it. Everyone
It's
is
fear.
so. It's not even that it's fear.
It feels like
it's
fear.
it's honestly, it's peer pressure at its highest
Which
Yes.
is fear.
form.
100%.
It is its highest form. The fact that you are being peer pressured by your own government
And
to
your
get
people,
and your people
your fellow
and your
citizens.
fellow citizens to get this vaccination
Again.
that we don't really
And
know
if
that
you-
much
yeah.
about. That literally this is the fastest vaccination form of vaccine that has ever been
Developed and
distributed
Yep.
in over 100 years.
And there's a
And
there's a reason why we wait normally.
Exactly. There's a reason why people are meant to wait for
Thalidomide
vaccines.
babies.
Because you don't know. This is literally we're in the trial and error generation right
Yes.
now. Future generations who possibly have to get these vaccinations, like if we had like the inoculations for all these other things like smallpox, polio, whatever, like huge like epidemic, AIDS maybe eventually.
If they ever want to release
if they ever
it.
want to, exactly, that's a whole nother story. But
Damn
the
unpaid
fact
intern,
that
so woke.
but the fact that we're in the trial and error generation of this vaccine
Yeah.
is kind of scary.
Of this
It
style
does.
of vaccine.
Of this style of
Yes.
vaccine.
Well said.
Messenger
Yes.
RNA
Yeah.
has been something that was in development from the 80s till current day and was only ever unfurled during this global pandemic. We never thought it was relevant to cancer or
Right.
AIDS or any of the other number of maladies that kind of affect the human body.
Right.
Malaria, anything. Nothing was relevant for testing until suddenly you have a captive audience who's scared as hell because you've just shut down society.
Right.
And they're willing to take any
Anything at this
vaccine you
point.
throw in front of them.
Right.
Yeah.
There's anecdotal evidence of, say, Kamala Harris or Joe Biden saying,
I'm not taking
I'm
this."
not going to take a Trump
Yes.
rushed vaccine.
Yeah.
But as soon as
And-
they got sworn in over a goddamn Bible, suddenly
Mm-hmm.
the vaccine's supposed to be approved?
I have to say
This is madness.
My two biggest
This is Sparta.
my two biggest issues with the
If
vaccine
this was
mandate.
Sparta, I'd be able to kick Joe Biden into a pit.
My two biggest issues with the vaccine mandate
That's
is
true, yeah.
one, when Joe Biden and Kamala Harris were both voted into office, that was in January of this year.
That's
They were
kinda
saying
scary
even
now.
before that and into January that they would not be
force it.
mandating this to happen to the American people because they knew it wouldn't work. That's one, my biggest problem. Two, my second biggest problem is the fact that there are so many like
Haitians.
other remedies, other things being talked about. They're just getting like thrown under the rug, or they're just trying to get debunked. But wait, ivermectin was only debunked over a what technical issue? It was like not even like an actual thing in the study.
Right.
It's on the World Health Organization's list of vital medications.
Yeah.
So why is it the fact that the other things are being brought up and you're just trying to sweep it under the rug, sweep it under the rug, sweep it
It's-
under the rug? And Dr. Fauci made all his money with the HIV epidemic because he was able to say, "I gotta get vaccinated. Let me create this
Yes.
vaccine." And
Fauci's
We
also
talk so
the
much about how
responsible-
Dr. Fauci was the first man into the gay bathhouses. We never talk about how Dr. Fauci was the man who blocked AZT, was the man who blocked ivermectin back in the day
Stop.
as a
Yeah.
potential fucking treatment for HIV.
But he was also
and he
a
was
gentleman-
focusing all money on an inoculation, on a
No.
vaccine
But he was
that went nowhere.
But he was also the gentleman who gave you that horror story that AIDS was transmitted through skin touch.
yes.
He's the one who put that idea.
Yes,
into
Are
the
you
world.
serious?
Yeah, he was
epidemic-
that dumb.
The AIDS
motherfucker.
epidemic
Are
was
you
also the same.
serious?
There was a household of a young girl who was affected by HIV, if not AIDS. And Mr.
the
Fauci
little boy.
decided,
She said that she
little
gave
boy,
birth to a
whatever it might be.
child who had
But
AIDS.
a
Yes.
woman gave birth to a child who had AIDS, and they were saying that because we can see no obvious method of transmitting this disease, perhaps you can get AIDS from a toilet seat.
Yes.
Oh
that was
my
Fauci.
Perhaps you can
God.
get AIDS from
That
a
was
baby
Fauci.
throwing up on you.
My mother remember.
Never entertaining the thought that perhaps you got AIDS from the mother having
blood.
AIDS and
From
passing
having
that through the blood barrier to her
from
child.
the placenta.
My mother. Remember my mother. I was like 8 or 9 because I have my mother's cousin sadly died of AIDS, and she was working in social
In the
services in the 80s.
When it was fucking Wild West, we didn't know what it was.
Yeah. And someone asked her if she was okay with working with someone with AIDS. And by the time she told me the story, I was a teenager. And I said to her, why? Why would you have a problem working with someone with AIDS? Because at this point, you knew.
You had knowledge.
Yeah, you
blood
knew.
to blood.
It was a blood-to-blood transfer.
Their
disease.
blood, your wound. Must
And my
happen.
mother went, they didn't know what was happening back in the day. But I said, yeah, I don't have a problem with it. But she also didn't tell her employer that her cousin had AIDS, and she had potentially been around this person, and she had not caught it herself. So she knew there must be something wrong with that logic,
Yeah.
or Fauci's diagnosis. We should better
Well,
say.
how about we
But
talk about the
also-
CDC was created in the 1990s, and who?
Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Yes. And who were the biggest beneficiaries, the biggest donors to the CDC?
White people.
Go ahead. Well, white people specifically, possibly Jews. Are they white?
I was gonna say yeah,
Local
most
Jewish
Jews.
expert. Are they most Jews or white? Okay.
Yes, most
Yeah.
Jews.
But-
I have yet
but-
to meet an African American.
Lenny
Jew.
Kravitz, we have not met him
Personally.
yet.
Personally.
Lenny Kravitz is a Jew.
Yeah, his
he's
father
half
was
Jewish.
He's of the fit. No,
He's
that
of the-
doesn't count.
Yeah, it's
No,
true, that's
he's
right.
close enough. He's pretty close.
He's only half. I
That's
don't know if
true.
he had a bar mitzvah, and I
Doesn't-
don't know if he's circumcised.
But have we not
Only counts
seen?
when it comes from the mother.
That's
That's
true.
true.
That's the belief of the faith.
But have we not seen how Pfizer has done us wrong? Have we not seen the most recent Pfizer recall of all of Chantryx?
Right.
Stop
Adding-
it.
Oh
my
yes.
God.
Here's some more new news for you.
Ugh.
All of Chantryx stocks had to be recalled because they contain a cancer-causing agent.
Oh, that's
The
why.
gummy nonsense that Pfizer passed on you to get you over smoking gives you cancer.
But it,
Johnson & Johnson
Wow.
has been including asbestos in baby powder.
And baby powder.
And they
And
had
we're-
had to recall Neutrogena products all summer.
yes.
Right.
But also like tying back to like how the AIDS epidemic and this and that. That was the first.
But nothing
time,
on Moderna. I love that.
That was the first time in American
Was it?
history
So far.
that people were able to say, "I don't trust your scientists," because I forget which scientist it was, but a scientist actually like went on air. Like we talked about this in my class yesterday. A
Which
scientist.
class? What kind of class?
It was my English class actually. We talked
Oh.
about it.
Broad.
A scientist went on air and I believe said that like, you know, AIDS is like you can't get it through like you can get it through like just like touching someone who's
Yeah.
like who has AIDS and their blood is out. If you touch them, you have AIDS now. But they were like, obviously that's not true. Like the medical field came out and like that's not true. That's not how it works. And that's the era where people were like, I don't trust your scientists. I don't trust the scientists
Yes. Right.
you
Yeah.
put on screen.
If you
Yeah.
trust
Same
the
way-
science, but which
That's what I'm
science?
saying.
Science.
I trust
same way in
science.
this
I don't
moment.
trust the science that you're putting on CNN. I don't trust the science you're putting on MSNBC.
The
Right.
science you're promoting.
Yeah.
The same way in this moment we're having.
But which side is promoting it?
Yes.
That's
Yeah.
the whole
Yeah.
thing. Like, if it's like, honestly, at this point, I would probably trust Fox.
But it's
And
sad
it's
to
kind of
say.
sad that I would actually
But
trust
it's like when
the,
people
the
say
right
trust the science, there are scientists who believe in creationism.
creationism.
There
Yeah.
are scientists that would promote flat Earth
That's
theory.
what I'm saying. There's
There's
a lot of different
there's scientists
You're
that will
telling
literally that I have literally seen TikTok videos
Yes.
Ancient
of a
aliens.
science
What
of a science. My dad loves ancient aliens.
Yeah, who doesn't?
As he should.
As he should.
Yeah.
But I've literally seen videos of other scientists arguing with fucking Bill Nye the Science Guy,
Right.
who my generation watched on television, watched in our science classes, like it was the
Science is
like it was
cool.
frickin' Pee-wee's Playhouse.
It was the gospel.
It was gospel for my generation.
I had
But
Mr.
literally to
Wizard
the
a
fact-
little
to the
more
fact-
vetted.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah.
Mr. Wizard
Yeah,
was
you
a
had
little more
Mr. Wizard.
hands-on
Yeah.
results kind of thing.
But the fact that my generation trusts anything that comes out of Bill Nye the Science Guy's mouth over actual fucking scientists
But also, yeah.
is kind of staggering.
But there's also scientists who would deny climate change.
Who would deny
That's what I'm
climate
saying.
change?
There's so many scientists.
So you say when you
that
say
they-
trust the science.
Evolution.
There's so many
Like, we
scientists.
believe
Which
it.
science?
Yes,
Which
there's so many
science?
scientists. There's let me say science groups
Yes.
that people came at like before COVID. Like people were coming at scientists who said, "No, actually, I don't see climate change being a thing."
Yes.
They were
Right.
like, "Man, fuck you." And then like say if it's like a
Here's
scientist
the
who was
thing.
like,
in the
"Oh,
70s,
well,
they had scientists who said we were suffering from global chilling.
Right.
In the 70s, they warned of global
that?
chilling that we are facing another ice age.
Uh-huh.
Yes.
I remember learning
Yeah.
about that. I remember
Yeah.
that.
But you know what I'm saying? Like, there's so
So
many
we
times
went from
in
facing a
history-
global ice age to a global
Meltdown.
meltdown to now they're settling in on global weirding.
But there's so many
Or
times
honestly,
that I can point
this
to.
is just the Earth doing whatever the fuck
But
the Earth wants
but
to do.
yes,
Supposedly, yes.
but that's what
as
I'm saying.
natural selection
That's what I'm
Yes,
saying. You
decides to pick and
Yeah,
choose
depending
what
on the
stays
scientist.
You
and
have
what
that's,
goes.
that's what I'm saying too. You have all these scientists, all these different science groups, and I can point to at least one time in history where you have called out that said science group and debunked them and
Right.
just came at them and dunked on them.
Yeah.
And now that they're here, and now that you can pay them to be on your side,
Right.
oh, I have to listen to them now. I have to listen to the scientist that tried to tell me that the Earth was flat. I have to listen to the scientist that's gonna tell me that the polar bears aren't like floating
Starving.
and starving. They're hanging out in their little ice glaciers. What ice glaciers? They have one for the whole tribe.
Right.
Where are the ice glaciers?
But this is the point.
Everybody gets a turn on one little piece of ice.
Right. So I'm not saying that I'm like,
Bears.
but I just wanna
That makes me sad.
really be clear about this. None of us are scientists. None of us have studied science. But we have
Not enough to actually have a real definitive
Yes.
point to make.
but
Yeah.
we can say that from the things we've read, things are contradicting each other really
Re-
strongly at this
And
point.
rapidly.
Yes.
And they're
And it-
refusing to give air to the side effects. To
Exactly.
the counter narrative.
The fact
To the fact that heart inflammation seems to be a regular occurrence
thing.
for anyone under 20.
yeah.
There's anecdotal evidence that heart inflammation is a regular occurrence for anyone under 40.
Yeah.
But it goes away. So in 3 to 6 months, you're back to normal. It's fine.
And
Which
what
can be
news
fine for
groups are
people
talking
who
about this?
don't have
Which
heart
or,
issues.
what-
or do you
which
already have a
news-
heart
yeah.
attack and now have a 3 to 5 life expectancy?
Which news groups are talking about
Nobody.
this?
Fox,
Do you-
maybe.
Did
Maybe
you
Fox.
Maybe
hear-
Fox.
Did you hear MSNBC,
No.
CNN, C-SPAN? Is anybody talking about these
No.
things?
Honestly,
like,
at
where
this
nobody.
point-
Y'all need to listen to Jimmy Dore.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
What
Y'all
really,
need Jimmy Dore in your
what
life.
He's the
really
only person
bothers me
speaking
is
about
that the
it.
people who are like, oh, like coming at the people who are anti-vax, right, and saying this and saying like, oh, you think that like it's because of like religion or it's because like, you know, like you just don't want to get this microchip. Like, no, I don't want to get it because I don't want it because
Right.
there's too much unknown about
Thalidomide
it.
babies.
You know what
Oh
I'm
They used
my,
to
oh my
give-
god, right.
Yes.
Uh-huh. The
They
only-
used to give
birth
expectant women, women who are pregnant, a certain like medication that within a few months was shown to prove side effects that gave your baby flippers. Your baby now no longer had a full arm; they had some weird, exaggerated hands
Stop
on
it.
the end of their shoulder.
No.
Thalidomide babies were a real damn
No,
thing.
I know, the only reason why I know what that is
And
because I'm a Long Islander and I was brought up on Billy Joel and that
Right,
is
he
mentioned
brings it up
and
in
Yes.
he brings that up and we didn't start the fire. But also
But
here's
it-
another thing.
It was known within months. It took
Took
5
5
years
years for it
to
to
stop
actually
that
do
medication
anything.
being offered to expectant mothers.
and that's insane. So like and it honestly it's like
It's about money.
it really is like honestly when it comes down to it, it really does come back down to money and what side of history are you on.
And
Yes.
what side has
and in
money
what side
decided
has
to,
money and in
to
what side has
exploit
money to
its
exploit
interest
it.
on?
But also, like, I saw this video on Instagram yesterday from, of all people, Seth MacFarlane. Seth MacFarlane decided to do a Family Guy bit and have Brian and Stewie. If anybody who doesn't know Family Guy, it's a cartoon television show where they literally make fun of everything and anything under the sun.
Simpsons,
With
South
Simpsons,
Park.
South Park, basically all of these,
Boondocks, that
yeah,
kind of
all that kind of
thing.
stuff. But he had the two characters on his show who would honestly question the government,
Under any
question
circumstances.
on any circumstances. They even had Brian sing like the Republican Way, which was done to a song from How to Succeed in Business, where suddenly the Republicans are the way to go. Anyway, but he had a clip on his Instagram. You can all find it of Brian and Stewie pulling a Magic School Bus-esque type of video.
Learning lesson.
Learning
for y'all.
lesson on why you should all get vaccinated. And to the people who are stupid, like Peter, who's supposed to be stupid, should get vaccinated because it doesn't just affect you, it affects the people around you, and it should be it protects
But
you from everything
does
else.
it?
But this is the thing. this is coming from the guy who created Family Guy. The last person I would ever imagine actually being vocally for the vaccines
As somebody as
is
transgressive
as the guy who created that show, to be like, everyone should get vaccinated. No, I expected him to give me something more like, maybe we should discuss more about why everyone's getting vaccinated so quickly, but also the side effects that people decide not to talk about. The things that our society doesn't want to talk about, because that's honestly what I thought Family Guy was meant to do, was to make fun of things in our society.
Make fun of the status quo.
Make fun of the status quo, which they've been doing for over 20 years. But the fact that that Family Guy was giving a vaccine CDC lesson on getting vaccinated and are wrong astounds me.
It does a little.
It's astounding.
Again, if the vaccine prevented me from catching or transmitting COVID,
If it was actually proven
if it
that
prevented
actually
me from
does
catching or transmitting COVID, then of course it's the right move. But right now, all we're facing is a leaky vaccine that allows me to transmit.
Right.
And is now potentially
Or get sicker.
forcing the organism to go past the vaccination and get stronger.
Right.
Whereas when we don't vaccinate for a disease, it becomes weaker. When we vaccinate for a disease, it becomes stronger to infect and be more prevalent. There's something within the chicken population of this country, if not the world, called Marek's disease. Marek's disease used to be something that would just make a chicken thin. The chicken would survive it 100%, but the chicken wouldn't have much meat to sell. But you had to invent so many vaccines for Marek's disease that you kept injecting all your chickens, that now if a chicken gets Marek disease and it's not vaccinated, it dies at 100% rate, because you've taught the virus to battle this vaccine, and it's a leaky vaccine, that now it's attempting its best to become something virulent enough to infect everyone regardless of vaccine. Whereas historically, if we treat viruses without a vaccine, they tend to evolve to get weaker, because you want your host body, in this case as the virus, you want your host body to survive longer and transmit the disease more often. So any disease we've any disease we've dealt with,
That was a
Freudian slip. It's super AIDS. It's super airborne AIDS. Oh my God! But any disease we've not truly addressed and just kind of allowed natural immunity to occur for, it becomes less virulent. It becomes less deadly.
And what happened?
But any
what happened
disease
to herd
we
mentality?
treat with
Whatever happened to that idea of herd mentality for
and
COVID-19?
any disease
Well,
we treat
I think
with a
we're in the
leaky
middle of herd
vaccine.
mentality in a different way.
Yeah. Any disease we've treated with a leaky
Touche.
vaccine has gotten so much more dangerous. And I fear right now we're in the herd mentality. Another Freudian slip.
Yep.
Take that home with you, put it in your pocket. We are in the herd immunity phase. We've just not been informed.
Right.
That's why unpaid intern has to go to work. Has to go to school. That's why
I have to
Amanda
go to work.
Bressler has to go to work. That's why they've cut off unemployment benefits for so many people.
Yeah.
They want you to go back to work.
They want
To
everything
catch
to go
the
back to
virus
normal.
or not, to catch the vaccine or not. This is one big open air experiment, and anyone in our government who's on the take is on the take from the people making the damn experimental vaccines.
It's true.
Right.
So they stand to profit either way.
Yeah.
Pfizer hears you have blood clots, you have heart inflammation. They have a medication that will treat your blood clots, that will treat your heart inflammation. This is not a lost game to them.
No.
This is just a way to offer you a free vaccine for
To be the guinea
a
pig of a
disease
whole
they can't
generation.
prevent. For a disease they can't prevent. And they stand to gain so much from it. Your heart inflammation is a gain to them. Your immune deficiency fucking condition is now a gain to them. The fact that they're learning now mRNA vaccines can potentially cure AIDS is a gain to them. This is one big open air experiment, and you're a part of it, whether you want to be or not.
Yeah.
Because even if you've opted out of this vaccine, congratulations. You're now part of the experiment's control group, those who haven't gotten the vaccine. And there's been anecdotal evidence of already, while they're trying to pursue traditional governmental approval for these vaccines, they had a control group. The control group had to be dissolved because the controlled group was made to get the vaccine
Yeah.
for other reasons.
Yeah.
There's functionally no control group for a vaccine for the first time in human history.
It's
Yeah,
strange.
that's
This is a
true.
brand new vaccine that we've never used even once in human history. It's, again, been in the works since the 90s. It's not been proven for use until 2020.
And being the only fully vaccinated person of the four of us,
Disgusting.
listen, the only reason why I got vaccinated very early on. I got vaccinated back in February.
Alpha testing.
Basically alpha testing. Everybody else now is now beta. And the only reason why I got vaccinated, and it honestly wasn't by choice. The only reason why I got vaccinated was because of the job that I was working at the time. I was working at a school. I was working around children. They required me to be vaccinated. And honestly, it made sense at the time for me to be vaccinated, to be around young children.
Yes.
And this was back when we really didn't know a lot about...
Back when they were saying the vaccine
was
provided 100%
100%
protection against transmitting the disease.
Correct.
They tell you
Or
They did
being
say
caught
that.
yourself with
Exactly.
the disease.
And yet, what is it? February, March. Like 6 months later, I am now like able to catch the vaccine. I mean the vaccine.
The virus.
The virus. And case in point, I just recently tested positive. And yet being fully vaccinated, I still was able to test positive and have to be away from my current job for 9 days.
Or how about
And
this?
Which is nothing really, but for other people who are less fortunate,
9 days
and
no
nine
pay.
9 days no pay, but because of the new COVID laws, I actually do get paid
I see.
because it is technically still being for the new COVID laws that if you have been tested positive and you had to be called out for work because of COVID, you do get sick leave.
That's
it's
cool.
It's almost like the equivalent of getting maternity leave. It's not a lot, but I still get paid for not being at work for 9 days.
And not infecting the rest
and not
of
infecting
the workers.
the rest of my coworkers. And I honestly don't believe I actually had it. I honestly think it was a false positive. Besides the fact,
That's a shame
as it is. But the fact that they are now really forcing everyone, literally everyone from all walks of life,
to get a
a leaky vaccine that possibly could either do more harm than good in the long run of their lives.
And you're still able to
transmit the virus, probably easier than just breathing or just being close to someone. Is honestly, it's staggering to me. And now you can't go into a social gathering of any kind, whether it's whether it's a restaurant or a museum or gallery or a Broadway show at this point, without showing a form of your vaccination that you are one of us.
And
One
again,
of us.
To round this up as
the-
best we can, to
Exactly.
kind of bring this back in, there's even information coming out of Israel, which is one of the most vaccinated places on the
They got
in the
vaccinated
world.
so quick because they're the size of New Jersey.
Yeah, but one of the most vaccinated populace in the world is now saying anything past, say, a 5th booster shot, or in this case, a 3rd booster shot.
Because you're going to get a
your
third
5th
booster.
shot overall is now just precipitously dangerous.
Yeah.
That it may be worse than just catching the virus. We're facing now such unknown waters that no one knows what's more dangerous to your individual vessel, the virus or the vaccination.
Correct.
And the fact that we don't know this is proof that you shouldn't be mandating this
to
for
anyone.
college students, for workers,
For
etc.
children. Pfizer's now like trying to ask the CDC if they can now vaccinate children under the age of 12.
That's crazy.
Even though the World Health Organization said no.
Even though the World Health Organization said basically fuck no.
Said basically no boosters.
No boosters too. But only Pfizer, I'm only noticing now that Pfizer is the only one who is upping their game. Not Moderna, not Johnson & Johnson, just Pfizer. Pfizer is the only one who are asking for boosters, who are now asking for children from ages 5 to 11
Because Pfizer's
to
the
now
only
get
one
11
to
to now
that
get
little-
vaccinated.
Pfizer's the only one to get that little stamp of FDA
FDA
approval.
approval. But it's just yes, you got the FDA approval. But how much? But how much did you
But
pay the
the
FDA
women-
to get the
That's
approval?
what I'm saying. Because now the women that you have getting your shot are
Either
getting
infertile.
boob jobs or getting infertile. Like you have children trying to get the vax. Like all I'm gonna say, the last thing I'm gonna say about this vax and the vax mandate is like if you want to get it, get it.
Yeah.
It's your body, it's your choice.
You have to live with the
But the
consequences
fact-
of it.
So
So
my stance on it is your body, your choice.
My stance
I don't
on
wanna
it is
get it.
live free or
I
die.
don't want to get it.
That
I don't
too.
want to get it. I shouldn't
I have
have
the freedom to get it.
Exactly.
I shouldn't have to have hanging over me right now the fact that I might be dropped out of college tomorrow.
Right.
Like, that's not something that I want heavy
And
on
tomorrow
my mind.
being the 23rd
Tomorrow
of
being
September.
the 23rd of September, Thursday the 23rd, unpaid intern, might not be a college student anymore.
Right.
We're still
But
not
also-
going to pay her.
They're still not going to. No. But
That's
also the
wishful
fact.
thinking, people.
You might lose your internship. because
This
you're
is
no
wishful
longer a
thinking.
college student.
Vax mandates, still unpaid intern.
Expect a different unpaid intern.
I'll be too depressed to continue the show.
But the fact that that Pfizer is now saying that 5-year-old children who barely understand what the fuck is going on in the world right now, who don't really have a say in the matter of their lives, can get a vaccination that could easily affect them health-wise, mentally-wise, but also just physically.
Because it's not about safety, it's about
not about
compliance.
safety, it's about compliance.
Do
And
what
the-
we say.
Exactly. It's
Not
like,
as we
oh,
do.
mommy and daddy said I should get the vaccine, so I should get the vaccine.
Yeah.
No, 5-year-olds should not be allowed to get a vaccination that we know so little about. Whether it's Pfizer, Moderna, Johnson & Johnson, whatever.
The
So,
vaccination,
type is so
experimental.
experimental that it is the most experimental vaccine that we've ever had for a whole generation, maybe more, that we still don't know all the facts, and all the facts that we're getting are mixed,
Muddled
at best.
So make your own decision.
Yes.
I
Yes.
say do what I say. But the rest of these people on the podcast are.
Amanda Bressler.
I'm Nirvana Diaz.
I'm Raymond A. Morales, your fucking conscience. And that is,
Still unpaid intern.
she will never be paid.
All right, we'll hear from you next week, guys.
Thank you for your time. Don't get the shot.
Bye. Or get it if you want
Get
to.
it if you want
Your
to.
body,
choice.
your choice.
Your body,
No.
your choice.
Bye.
No!